Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news.
F&M Deputy Leader Peter Turnquest weighs in on that recently released Bahamas Heads of Agreement. That story straight ahead.
The leader of the DNA sounds off on the recently released Heads of Agreement deal with Bahamas. That story's coming up tonight, straight ahead.
The CEO of Bahamas National Festivals Company responds to the disappointing crowd for Grand Bahamas Carnival. That story's coming up, straight ahead.
News is brought to you by Alive, the nation's newest and best LTE network.
Good to be alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina McNeil. Topping news tonight, Deputy Leader of the Free National Movement Peter Turnquest is blasting the government for giving up millions of dollars in taxes and concessions to the new Bahamas owner Chow Tai Fook Enterprises. The details were disclosed in the Heads of Agreement for the multi-billion-dollar project. Jasmine Brown reports.
Turnquest says the country can ill afford to give up millions of dollars in concessions, as he insists it's the Bahamian people who are getting the bad end of the deal.
We're beginning to see what the Bahamian people have had to give up to cause this deal to happen. And as is being revealed, the cost is very, very expensive.
The agreement signed by the government and Chow Tai Fook Enterprises last Tuesday revealed a number of tax concessions, including value-added tax exemption until the end of 2019. On the issue of outstanding casino taxes, the document also reveals that the government has written off $10.75 million in casino taxes, which were deferred pursuant to letter agreements between the original developer Sarkis Merlin and the government. The resort will also be exempt from the payment of real property tax for 10 years, commencing on the date of the opening for business of each facility within the project.
We all know that we have a fiscal deficit problem in this country. We have a serious debt situation in this country, yet we seem to be doubling down in giving giveaways while the Bahamian people are being pressured for more and more taxes. While I understand the need for concessions to encourage investment, we have to be careful that we are not giving away the shop, as you will, for the benefit of a few investors.
In addition to those exemptions, the government will contribute $4 million a year for 8 years for marketing of Bahamas upon the opening of the resort's casino. That's in addition to the $16 million government already contributed for cooperative marketing under the previous Heads of Agreement with the former owner.
When does this end?
As for employment at the resort, the HOA states that the government shall grant, at the request of the owners, the casino manager, and the affiliates, up to 300 work permits for non-Bahamian employees. Meanwhile, the resort's owners have committed to keep employed a minimum of 5,500 Bahamian employees. The agreement's release comes at the end of the government's self-imposed deadline for the release of the sealed Supreme Court documents relating to the sale of the resort to Chow Tai Fook Enterprises. Turnquest says the fact that those documents remain sealed shows that the government has something to hide.
There is obviously something in that sealed document that they do not want us to see.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Democratic National Alliance leader Granville McCartney is also slamming the agreement, which he says could have damaging effects. Giorgio Bain has that story.
Following the release of the Heads of Agreement deal between the Christie administration and the new owners of Bahamas, DNA leader Granville McCartney says the agreement seems to be an act of desperation simply to get the resort opened.
It all surrounded this election, and I think the whole Bahamas quote-unquote opening is an attempt by the PLP administration to say that they got Bahamas open. The reality is they are the ones, the PLP government, they are the ones that closed Bahamas. They are the ones that caused over 2,000 persons to lose their job.
The agreement that was signed last Tuesday includes the exemption of value-added tax until the year 2020 and real property tax exemption for 10 years, as well as the government's pledge of $4 million per annum for 8 years in marketing funds. McCartney says he is amazed by the Christie administration's willingness to make concessions for foreigners but not for Bahamians.
To give away all of these concessions It seems to be almost to the detriment of the Bahamian people. The Bahamian people have to end up paying all of these monies towards VAT, when in fact the concentration the government should have had was to get this economy back on track so that the burden of the Bahamian people would be reduced, not the burden to foreign entities.
Under the new agreement, the new owners must keep a minimum of 5,500 Bahamian employees in management and operation of the project once it is complete. McCartney says while that sounds like a reasonable figure, he's a bit skeptical.
We're talking about a heads of agreement that's being done with an entity that has not purchased the property, and whether or not it will purchase the property is still up in the air. So what is interesting is that the agreement that was made in August of last year with Bahamas, notwithstanding promises being made by this government that they would disclose or unseal the agreement latest April, which is past now, it's not been unsealed. So we still don't know the full deal of what's going on with Bahamas.
McCartney urges Bahamians not to be fooled by the PLP's attempts to win votes a few days before the general election. Reporting for our News, I'm Giorgio Bain.
Meanwhile, in light of Long Island incumbent Loretta Butler Turner's revelation that she received financial backing from former Bahamas developer Sarkis' Merlin during her second F&M leadership bid, Deputy Leader Peter Turnquest addressed the matter, saying the opposition party has not received significant campaign donations from foreign investors.
I am not aware of any significant funding from any foreign entity. Of course, I'm not the treasurer, so I can't give you a specific answer. But as far as I am aware, there has been no significant amount of money from any individual or any group of individuals.
Last week, F&M leader Dr. Hubert Minnis said an F&M-led government would commit to campaign finance reform and would not be beholden to foreigners. When pressed on whether the party received financial backing from any foreign investors, Turnquest insisted he could not say there were absolutely no campaign contributions.
I can't say with any definitive statement at the moment that we have not received any. I can say that we have not received any significant, because I would know about that. But to say that we haven't received any, I'm not prepared to make that statement until I have had an opportunity to talk to the treasurer.
F&M candidate for Mount Moriah and former Bahamas executive Marvin Dames was also asked whether he received funding from the former Bahamas developer.
I don't know that question. I don't know how we continue to deal with that and why that is so important. All right? I haven't, and I've been asked over and over and over again. What is the relevance of this? What is the relevance?
Turnquest says at the end of the day, there is a real need for campaign finance reform. While social media may have been abuzz over Grand Bahama's disappointing crowd for Junkanoo Carnival, Bahamas National Festival Commission CEO Roscoe Dames says they will not be discouraged. April Sands reports.
BNFC CEO Roscoe Dames says he couldn't be more proud of Grand Bahama's Junkanoo Carnival. Here's what Grand Bahama Carnival looked like last year. However, the crowd at this year's carnival kickoff paled in comparison, according to this video circulated on social media. The BNFC CEO says the poor turnout could be the result of several things.
This is the first year we've ever produced this event around the election season. And this is the election season is heated up. That may have had some contributing factor to low numbers.
When asked how many people the Festival Commission had expected to attract on Grand Bahama for the kickoff of Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival, Dames says they had hoped to fill the venue.
The production, world class. Vendors on the island, some of which did well, not as well as they had done in previous years, but that was due to the low turnout. We're not discouraged in any way. Every major event goes through these types of experiences.
Now, while Dames claimed the low turnout could be due to the event being centered at the peak of an election season, others had their own theories. A statement released by an alleged association for disc jockeys in Grand Bahama stated they would boycott the event because they claimed no one was reached locally to participate. The statement read, "We, the disc jockeys based on Freeport, will not be supporting Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival 2017. The organizers of this event have seen fit to carry out this event without one local Grand Bahama DJ as part of the lineup. Join us in the boycott of this event for the blatant disrespect toward us."
The DJ and DJs that performed at Junkanoo Carnival in Grand Bahama was from Grand Bahama. They may not have been a part of the association, or they may have been a part. But you have, in any project like of this magnitude, you can't include every single person. You try to include as many as you possibly can.
The Music Masters competition was held in Grand Bahama over the weekend. Bahamian artists including Ebony, Sugar, Cupid, Alicia, Musical, Bentanji, Lil Joe, Cartwright, and Patrice Morel were the top 8 finalists who will compete for $20,000 on Friday night. Reporting for our news, I'm April Sands.
Meanwhile, the company contracted to produce Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival is suing the Bahamas National Festival Commission for breach of their 3-year agreement. In a writ filed in the Supreme Court on Friday, Unique Bahamas International Company Limited claims that the festival company is soliciting tenders for certain services that are detailed as the direct responsibilities of Unique Bahamas in the agreement signed in December 2014. Those services include the appointment of ticketing agents, ticket sales, securing venues, advertising, and promotions. As a result, Unique says it is suffering considerable loss and damages. When asked about the lawsuit, Dames would only say this.
Anything as it relates to matters before the court, our attorney Wayne Monroe, you could address those questions, because certainly once it gets to court, I'm not able to discuss or speak on it outside of referring you to our attorney who's dealing with that particular matter.
Still to come on our news, Carnival band owners get ready to mash up the road, plus why some DNA poll workers will not be voting in Wednesday's advance poll. It's coming up when our news returns.